Good day, everyone, and welcome to another short talk here at Tarot Mundi. Let's welcome Hans as we open up a topic about the tarot as a map of consciousness. Hi, Hans.
Hi. Thank you. And the topic we're going to take now is tarot as a map of consciousness. But this is not only related to tarot. There are other maps of consciousness that actually being used by certain practitioners. Besides the tarot, it's the also the I Ching or the Book of Changes, maybe the
Mm-hmm.
practice of Tantra, alchemy, astrology. One is actualism. So there are other practices of maps of consciousness.
I have a question. So, why
Mhm.
are these called maps of consciousness? What's so special about these things that they are considered maps?
These maps, they're actually, let me share the idea that uh, a map is not the actual terrain.
Mm-hmm.
It simply gives you the idea, suggests the idea of a certain place. Now, if you look at a Google map, the place appears to be just like the real thing, but that's not the real thing. So sometimes the map does not exactly tell you about the place, as often happens when you would like to visit a place and you want to check it through Google Map and the place is not there, but according to the map, it's there. These maps, since this is about the consciousness, it's more accurate than Google Map. Now, these maps, they are just, as again I've said previously, they are just tools to help you think. They are not there to just for the sake of being there. Now, in our educational system, we are being taught how to think. According to a world-renowned authority, Dr. Edward de Bono, some people are mistaken to be good thinkers when they are academically intelligent. Well, when in fact, it's the other way around. Some academically intelligent people, they are not actually skilled at thinking. And to think of it, those who are on the field, some people who are not academically educated, they're actually the ones who are thinking. Now, the tarot card may be considered as a tool, a map for us to explore the frontiers of the mind. A deck is composed of 78 cards. Some cards are less than that. Now, another word for a map, this is called a mind map. Now, we are very familiar with what we call as mind map or mind maps. They are just there created to facilitate the thinking process. So, our objective is to learn, develop, and master thinking. One may be intelligent and it doesn't always follow, according to an observation of Dr. Bono, that one knows how to think. So the maps here, they're already fixed. Just like when you read a story, there is a map of a story. Now the map here is the different cards. The lower arcana is actually your map. Now the greater arcana is another map and is intimately connected with the lower arcana through its last portion. When one performs a spread of cards, one is actually performing a map. Now, this map depends on not really on the order of opening the cards or the placement, although this is the typical way of looking at the practice because there are some classical way or the common way of doing a spread. But since this is a mind map, a map of consciousness, then that means that order is not actually necessary. Chronological order. There may be some other orders. So one may place the cards in different position irrespective of chronological order. What is important is that this map helps one to analyze and think. So that the problem or the issue is solved. It's a form of creative and critical thinking, a visual tool. Do you have any question?
Hmm. Yeah, regarding the tarot as a map of the consciousness, the thing that came in my mind is that, yes, you're right. It's a good tool for navigating what is the inner self of the person.
Yes, because it's the big difference between a projective tool and a tarot card is that the tarot is more realistic in its presentation. While a projective tool, although there are cards which share some characteristic with a projective tools you fill in your perception creates a story. But the the projective tool is more on the creative side, while the tarot, being realistic, the typical Rider Waite, it's more on the critical side. Critical side in the sense that because you can really readily identify the images. We can say it's more like if it's words, it's a sentence completion test. It's not a we rarely use words in the tarot. So it's more like a story completion test. You create your own story by the cards that you open. Now the story does not necessarily move according to the chronology of the appearance of the cards that you open. That is why we have this guide that a hero's journey has a certain form of pattern, certain form of map. There are certain sequences irrespective of the order of appearance.
My question is, so the hero's journey can also be considered as a type of spread to
Yes.
view where the
Yeah.
the state of the person as of the
Yeah.
current moment.
Yeah. Because actually, um, there are advanced approach, but our typical approach in reading and also using the hero's journey, it is actually a monolithic approach, something fixed. Well, in fact, what happens to a person, it's not fixed. Just like if we're going to look at the psychological aspect, the body may be growing, but the emotional aspect and the intellectual aspect and the spiritual aspect may not go with or along with the growth of the body. You may have the body of a 50-year-old person, the emotion or the feeling of a 6-year-old person, the intelligence of a 15-year-old person, and the spirituality of a baby. So,
So it
mhm,
seems that, because the keyword that comes in my head is that the process is humanistic. Am
yes,
I
that's
correct?
right. That's right. So we hope that by using the cards, we can align all the four parts in quotation mark of the person. We align the physical body, the emotional or the feelings, the intellectual or the intelligence of the person, and the spiritual growth. Now, don't take this wrong. Spiritual does not mean religion because in the health profession there is also a spiritual criteria. There is a spiritual crisis. It's used in medicine, it's used in psychology, it's used in nursing, and many other allied sciences in the health profession. So it does not mean that if it's a spiritual world, it's something to do with your religion.
Yes. So because it means something innate and deep within the person, right? Something
Yeah,
transpersonal.
yeah, something about life.
Mm-hmm.
Because this crisis, spiritual crisis, is very prominent or pronounced when we experience a death in a family. Would you like to explain me to explain further or any other question?
None so far, but knowing more about the hero's journey and how it relates to the tarot seems to be a very interesting topic.
Yes, exactly. Because the lower arcana, as I previously mentioned, is related to the hero's journey. Supposed to be the order of the cards is from the ace to the king. That's the order of the card of the journey. So irrespective of the appearance, unless you're using a traditional approach of spread, you cannot move the card already. But if you're looking at the hero's journey, then you need to look at the order, not of the appearance of the cards, but the order of the cards.
So
Mm.
does that mean that, for instance, I'm in one part of the journey? Say, for instance, I'm in the suit of cups.
Mm.
So what comes next after suit of cups, and does the transition from one suit in the minor arcana refer to, for instance, my own transformation, improvement, self improvement as I go from one stage to another? Is it like that?
Yeah, it's just like this. As I've said, you have a physical, you have an emotional, you have a intellectual, and you have a spiritual. It is called four bodies. Your different bodies. Most likely, for us as humans, yeah, persons, we develop obviously our physical body. Now, the four flowers of the cards reflect the four bodies. So they may appear in not in order. You may have a five of cups, seven of wands. You may have a page of swords, and you may have an ace of wands or clubs. So you see the aspect that the wand is the lowest. It's still about to develop. And the other one, the sword, is already developed. It's just like you're intelligent, but your drive as an individual is not so developed. You have a growing body. Maybe you're a young child. So that's how you look at the cards. Because the order of development does not always follow the growth of the physical. That is why we have to consider the cards. Remember, the cards are secondary. What we are looking at, even if you're using a different approach to soul mapping, is the soul or the spirit. So, how does the spirit or the soul fares in this lifetime? It is reflected there. The soul will reveal its identity through the card, through the chart, Book of Changes, alchemy, tantra. So that's why the reason that the practices are there is for the alignment of the individual. They serve as a form of mirror for you to understand yourself. So when you see that some part of your cards they are lower than the rest, then you need to understand that this aspect of yourself needs to be developed. Otherwise, you look at the caricatures of the cartoons. They look funny, but yes, because a person, if you draw a person with a small brain, small intelligence, and big physicality, he's just like or she's just like a muscled individual with a small head, pinhead. That's how the ancients look at the person. They look funny, but they actually reflect the person because that part of the body is so undeveloped. Now, body does not mean only as physical body, but the other bodies. It's about related to the chakra also. That's the Kabbalah is all about. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hans, for that.
Any follow-up question or
Yeah, for now, none from my end.
so? Thank you again. To recap, the tarot deck, the 78 cards. They are maps. So we have to bear in mind that the interpretation depends on the uh, association of the cards and on the development of the person. The more developed the person, the more spiritual the interpretation. It does not follow the typical interpretation of the cards. So thank you.